This is Bliss Oasis. Change your thinking, change your life.
Welcome to Bliss Oasis Africa, where we tell the untold stories of everyday people. Our guest today is Eunice Njoki, who is the founder of Maktaba Mashinani, among other things. When she was a young girl, Eunice faced what would have been normally an unpleasant reality, which forced her to leave school and become a househelp. But her young mind saw beyond the challenge, and instead of giving up hope, she took every opportunity available to move her from merely being a househelp to a university graduate. And now, through Maktaba Mashinani, she is helping thousands of school kids access textbooks, which were a challenge to her when she was a schoolgirl. Stand by and listen to her story in this channel. Welcome. Books, books, and books. That's the life of school and education. And our children and everybody else likes reading. We like reading material, we like books, we write books, we read the books. But then there's a problem, which you may not be aware. Many of our schools don't have books. They don't have textbooks, they don't have storybooks. And I'm talking about public schools, where one book could be shared by up to 10 children. This is something even in Nairobi, I understand this challenge is not happening. And so today we have somebody whom we feel or we know her group and herself are trying to see the little they can do to solve the situation. So today we have Eunice Njoki from Maktaba Mashinani, who is going to tell us a bit about, or a lot about her project. But before she tells us about Maktaba Mashinani, she'll tell us where the idea came from. First of all, she'll introduce herself properly and give her, or rather give us her story, because we know everybody has a story, and that's what Bliss Oasis believes. And we give the opportunity to everybody to come to Bliss Oasis and give their story. So it's your time. Eunice, tell us about yourself first, before you can tell us about Maktaba Mashinani.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for having me here. My name is Eunice, just like you said, and I sometimes it's hard to introduce yourself without really introducing what you do. But
yeah, tell us about yourself. Yeah. Who are you? Where did you come from? You must have come from some place. Must have grown up.
Well, I grew up in Nairobi. I've been a Nairobi girl like all my life. So I still live in Nairobi, but I go out there for work. Mostly my days are spent around Mashinani areas, but I am a happy Nairobi girl. I am a computer technology professional. So at a place in life where I'm shifting careers to other things. So yeah, that's just a bit about me, and I'm really honored that you took time to have me here today.
So you say you're a Nairobi girl. Did you grow up? Were you born in Nairobi? Did you school in Nairobi, or how was your growing up like?
Actually, I was born in some place in Thika, but I grew up in Nairobi, Eastland. It's a place called Jiro.
Jiro.
So there's a bit of and by school in Wiki, so we used to walk like all the way from Jiro to Wiki with my little sister, and that was throughout primary school. We used to walk from Jiro to Wiki every day, and with that you can get. It's so obvious that I have a little bit of food in me. So it doesn't matter how civilized you get, there's just a little bit of food that is left after you've lived in a place like Muki on Jesus. And I proudly own that up. Yeah.
Okay, so you schooled Wiki until you completed your primary school? Did you go to high school also in Wiki, or where did you go for your secondary school?
No, actually, I didn't go to high school in Mwiki. I didn't even go to high school soon after my primary age, my primary school, my class grade, that is. So what happened is that I come from a very humble background, and my parents couldn't afford to take me to high school immediately after primary school. So I left home. I was a little bit out of Nairobi, the house help, and I was trying to save up and go to high school. So a couple of years later, I enrolled. I got the realization that I will never really join a high school like the normal students do. So I just applied to be a Gumbaru class um, student for some time, and I passed for my KCSE. This was before people knew that you could do high school Gumbaru classes when you're a young person, because mostly Gumbaru are for old people who are trying to. It's not just come back and see what is happening in education.
So you say after your primary school, your parents could not afford to take you to normal primary school, and you went to Gombaru, or you went to become a house help first.
I was trying to become a household.
For how
The
long
whole
were you?
point of going to become for about 1 year and 6, 7 months.
So you must have been around 14?
Yeah.
14?
Yeah, I was still a kid. I was about 14 years. So I worked until I was about 16.
Okay. And then when you are working, was the intention to work and save for you in order for you to go to school, or just to keep you busy?
Yeah, that was the whole point actually. That I can go work and just save up and go to high school.
Okay.
But then as you start working, the money back home, you have to keep sending money to the parents. You don't really get to a place where you save up enough to put on a uniform and go to high school.
So were you
So
staying with your
and
parents?
by the time I was no, I wasn't staying with my parents. Actually, that was in Juja. And my parents were still in Juju. So I left Juju, went to Juju, started working as a house help. And I think people who knew me those days can actually account to this, that I started out as a house help. But I thank God for the family that had me as a house help there. These guys were like, they were family. They I hold them in high esteem. They took me in as a daughter, not only as a person who works for them, as a daughter. Then it happened that in that time, they had two children in high school. One of them was in Mondi Girls, the other one was in Mam High. And I used to read their books. When there was nobody at home, I used to read their books. I never stopped reading. I was hungry for education. So, and I know this, I didn't want to even tell them that I'm reading their books because, of course, you're employed to work. You're not employed to go in and read. So I did my work very well, and I still had time to read whatever I could get. And actually, my passion for Maktaba Mashinani is really tied around this idea that I was really, really hungry for education. And I understand that there are people out there are children out there who are in the same position I was in. I didn't have access to books. I didn't have access to, any form of education. I didn't know how to go about bursaries and, scholarships. And my parents also did. So, and I really, really suffered because of the lack of information. I wish I had someone like me in my days to just stand in the gap and help me out, show me how to get into school or provide the books that I needed. Because it was such a hassle because I didn't even have the very basic of information to get me to school.
Okay. Now, were you staying with your employer when you are house help, or had you rented somewhere?
Yes, yes, I was. I was staying with my employers. They were like my parents actually. They were really, really nice to me. Yeah.
So you stayed with them for a year. After that, what happened in the following year?
I stayed with them as a house. I stayed with them like normal household. I stayed with them throughout my work when I was working with them. So when I came to a realization that I can never put on a uniform and go to school, I quit. You know, I quit. I decided to go look for other jobs that can help me at least go to school, go for these Gumbari classes.
Mm.
So I've worked all manner of odd jobs. I
Mm.
remember working at some flower farm and carried mchanga on my back. You know, I was very, very tiny. I carried mchanga on my back, and then I couldn't. I was like the tiniest person in the company. I couldn't. So I left. I weighed tables. I waited on table, sorry, on some restaurant. But that happened for only 2 weeks.
Mm.
Some things happened. I don't want to go into the details of that, but I just couldn't stay there anymore.
Mm.
So I left from like one place to another, from one place to another,
Mm.
until I could just afford to just take some classes here
Mm.
and there. Yeah, and that is how I basically prepared for my classes, my Umbano classes, and allowed me to come and pass.
So Gumbaru class is what we call adult education, and as you say, you didn't at one point you didn't realize you'd be in an adult class because you still had hope that one day you're going to join a normal school and in a uniform and continue the education. So between the time you did your class 8 to the time you entered Gumbaru class, what was the period? What was the time? A year, 2 years, 3 years?
It was about 3 years.
Mm.
It was about 3 years. But this was the time of just looking at how, because I didn't even know we had I could do Gumbaru classes until some of them started in Judah. But then the Juja one, we had really double resources because it was in a primary school, and then they would have the high school classes in the evening. They were the same teachers that were teaching at the primary school. So we didn't have things like labs, for chemistry. We didn't. So, and then there was this, the same program was started in Twitter. So I moved to Beta to go and complete because we had a better equipped facility compared
Mm.
to the the primary school classes that we used to
Okay.
have in
Mm.
Juja.
All right.
Yeah.
So what happened after the Gumbaru classes? And what exactly
So
did
now
you
after
study?
Gumbaru class,
What exactly did you study in Gumbaru classes or education?
actually I did study, it's just the normal high school classes, huh?
Mm.
The normal high school classes. The only challenge was you have to put in extra effort. You don't, because when you're sitting for your KCSE, you sit for the same KCSE. The one who studied normally is sitting
Mm.
for.
Mm.
KCSE is the same thing.
Yes.
Nothing special for you because you did Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
So you still get to choose subjects, but then you put in extra effort
Yes.
than a normal student. Because even the time for classes, we had 2 3 hours per day. It's like even in classes for Gumbazi.
Mm.
You don't have the entire day. But you have to really put in a lot of effort, which I was ready to do that. I was because I really really wanted to get past
Okay.
these whole high school thing. I really really wanted to go past that.
All right. So eventually you completed and you did your exams. How are they?
Yeah. Um, they were okay.
Mm.
For the time that I was actually in those Subaru classes compared to the time that I was there, because I did my KCSE 2 years.
Mm.
For the time that I was there, the effort that I put in, I I know I could have done better. In better circumstances, with better resources, I could have done better.
Mm.
But I'm still glad I performed the way I did. and that got me into, helped me get into a university without much of a hassle.
Mm.
You know, I didn't have to do a bridging course to study whatever I came to study.
Mm.
And yeah, I am okay.
Many children or many young people at that age, when their parents cannot take them to secondary school, for example, if it's a girl, they go to do what you did, and then stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Stay there. Maybe they get married early and so on. What inspired you to see that that was not the end of you and you need to go further?
Um, Actually, it's the very thing you said right now. That most of the kids in that window where you're not able to go to school, they run into early marriages. They get into early pregnancy. They're not. It's not even early marriages. It's just early
Pregnancy.
teenage pregnancy.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and I lost a lot of friends in my neighborhood. A lot of girls in my neighborhood who tried getting abortion
Mm.
when they were still kids, and they really died.
Mm.
And there was a lot of drug abuse around that place. There was,
Mm.
I mean, you would, someone who knows Nigeria very well, especially in those. I don't know how it is right now,
Mm.
but it is Eastland. It and before Eastland and Kayole was Kayole, Nigeria was already like Kayole, and there's a lot of drug abuse
Mm.
and kids getting into robbery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I hated that kind of lifestyle. I hated that lifestyle,
Mm.
and I wanted to be different. I really
Okay.
wanted to be different. I wanted to, to just make my parents proud. I wanted to do better for myself. And the other thing is that I was really naive. And I feel like God protected me by being that naive. And the other day we actually met the
It was a
guys we
blessing
were
in
with in
it was a
primary school.
blessing in disguise.
Mm, it was. It really was. The other day
Yes.
I actually met up with some guys we were with in primary school, and we had girls in our class in primary school who got pregnant who were pregnant when we were sitting for KCPE.
Mm.
And this guy told me, Eunice, we couldn't tell you because you were too timid.
Timid.
Yes, but I was too timid. Sikuwa naelewa nini inaendelea around. Mimi nilikuwa nakuja nasoma narudi kwa mume yangu.
Mm.
I was a kid. Nilikuwa na kaushamba fulani hata kama aliona kidogo. So
Kwa hivyo ushamba
I
ni
feel
mzuri.
like really nilisaidia. Nilisaidia sana. So
Yaani
mimi
yaani
nilisaidia sana.
yaani haukuwa na ujuaji.
Kama ningekuwa na ujuaji, labda singekuwa hapa sasa.
Ni sawa. So tell us then what happened. You went to campus. What did you study? And what did you graduate in? And how your life has been since?
Okay. So in campus, I ended up doing computer technology.
Where? Which
It was
campus?
quite a hassle. I was in Jaipur.
Okay.
So it was quite a hassle because I was never really there to interact with my classmates. I was always out here hustling. I didn't know how to do, um, just basic hangout. It's either you'd find me being active in the field or out here hustling. And actually, for most people in Juja who saw me, who were outside campus who saw me, they thought actually just someone who's hustling in Juja. What they didn't know is that I have to run between classes and selling stuff because I needed to keep paying school fees for myself.
So what were you selling
And today,
at that time? During classes, what business were you doing to keep you going?
the business that I was doing, actually, to some extent, I was employed in some bookshop. But this is what happened. When I was still doing the high school thingies, I developed a passion for computers.
Mm.
So I learned how to do computer hardware, a little bit of websites. So I used to do that a lot. I used to develop small websites. I used to go around and maintain computers, computer hardware. That is, and then I used to work in some book shop in Juja. Actually, a lot of people in Juja know me from that book shop. It was around the gate east, yeah, gate west. So I would go work there, go around to deliver some um, what do you call it, computers. Now, my boss, then a very nice guy again. There was a time I told him, you know what, I can't manage to, I really need this job, but I can't manage to be just here the entire day. But I need to be in school. And he said, told me, I don't care what you do, as long as I get money in the evening. I find the person nifanya some clothes during the day. Because used to come every day to collect the money that I've made that day. So, you know what I did? I went around and looked for shops and schools I could supply to at a very discounted rate. So I was actually never at the bookshop, but I sold more.
Ah,
I sold more. Now that allowed me to go to school. That allowed me to do my other side hustle. So the mshahara at the bookshop was very kidogo, but it allowed me to pay my rent.
okay.
Don't you know those days you don't go looking for one bedrooms to competing with anybody, just be the roof over your head. So, and that is all I got. So I had this any single room in just the downtown Nuko. And uh, the rest I just pushed it towards school. And it got me time to once in a while, do some small websites. Actually, I would do some website projects sometimes even for students in other classes.
Mm.
So, because I was really, really ahead of the rest. Yeah.
So your graduation actually you said you are computer what technologist or what are you?
Computer technology, yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's what you do these days. Okay. By the way, when did you graduate? When did you finally leave the quad and become a graduate? And
Okay.
then did you go?
I graduated in 2012.
Mm.
Then I got into some job. I was employed for like a minute.
Like that?
Then we had some complications. I was employed for like a minute.
A minute.
For a
Wow.
minute. So we had issues with my former boss. He was a nice guy, but he had some
The same guy you are
had some
working for.
misunderstandings.
The same guy you are working for at the university. The
No,
same
no, no,
guy.
no. This is a different one. Because
Okay.
now,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, because now when I was working for this was a totally new company.
Okay.
It was a small, teeny tiny company somewhere, and this guy was starting out, and he started out really really well. But then along the way, he had some misunderstandings, and
Mm.
he got me to lose employment for some reason because he was very mean, and I was like, I don't want to ever go through this kind of an experience again. So I left.
Mm.
And even after I left, we still had some issues with the training here. I just got out and started Unema Errant in 2013.
You name my
So Unema
errands.
Errant, yeah,
Yes.
Unema Errant is like my first company that deals with errands and courier services, basically delivery services within Nairobi.
Mm.
Yeah, so that is what I started with in Nairobi, and I have been doing it ever since. So when I run Maktaba Mashinani as a non-profit, my main job for profit is Unema Essence.
So what happened? What do you deliver in name my errands? What actually do you deliver? What do you do? What kind of services?
What's that?
You name my errands. Tell us about it.
Oh, no, Unema is my baby. Unema is I started out Unema Errands through a very simple idea that a friend of mine called me up and it was his birthday. And I miss the old days when you just do simple things. You don't have to like throw parties, whatever, to convince people that it's your birthday.
Mm.
And this guy just called me up and was like, hey, Eunice, where do you think I can get a cake for my birthday? Because you guys are coming over and I don't have a cake yet. He had invited us for his birthday. So I looked around and I found him a cake. And I was like, wait a minute, how many more people need this kind of a thing? How many people need help looking for things and shopping for them and having them delivered? So I remember starting it out with my circle of friends, and I shared this idea with my circle of friends. Actually, some guys we used to go to Bible study with, and they were very, very supportive. They were the guys who helped me, like, map out, things like business cards and stuff like that, where to start. It's good to have people who can water your dreams. So, and this was my team. So I started out in Nema and started doing simple deliveries. At first, it was really enjoyable. It was a humble beginning. It was really enjoyable, and I kind of like the simplicity of things. Um, so, and I did that for some time. The company grew. We've gone through phases of growth. We've been through our parachutes. I have made big wins in the business. I have also made like seriously depressing losses at the same time. But the company is still up and running today.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, is that all as far as business is concerned? That's the only company you have? That's the only business you have? Or the other things you also do on the side?
You're asking me where other businesses.
Yeah, like you trained in web, technology, website. Are you doing websites? Are you doing maybe
Oh, let me tell you, it's
installations or
been a long time.
um,
I think when I was house in Georgia, I used to fancy information technology, and you used to tell me, oh, you're in IT. In IT, and I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool. This gets so cool.
mm,
And I think I kind of got into that because
mm,
of the peer influence, like IT, what is this IT thing?
mm,
So I got into that. So, but when I started doing my business, I would still do the side hustle for software development because that is what I majored in. I would do software here and there. But then it got to a place where I totally dedicated myself to the growth of my company.
mm,
And I haven't done software development in a few years. So actually, just the other day, that was at the end of 2019, I had an urge to just, introspect and just see what do I need to do. Do I still want to go back to school and continue with in the field of ICT? What do I want to do? So I did do anything. I realized it's okay sometimes not know what you want.
mm.
Very healthy. It's also a platform to either start all over again or to build on what you already have. And for me, I just went out and I started looking around online for online courses. I just went. I didn't know what. Some people say when you're not going, if you're going nowhere, then you don't can live there. And for me,
Yes.
that was a positive thing
Mm, mm, mm,
because anywhere was a lot of courses. I went online and grabbed anything that could get. I got more scholarships. I got short courses and stuff like that. And I got scholarships for short courses from well-known institutions globally. And I took them. I would take a course for 2 months, because I was just trying to find where am I right now.
mm,
And I did that, and it was quite life. It was quite a U-turn for me because I
mm,
ended up being interested in a totally different field. And right now, I start with forensic science. I've been studying forensic science for the last 2 semesters
mm,
at the Nanyang University in Singapore.
mm,
But before getting, or rather settling on forensic science, I have since 2019, I have tried courses from business and entrepreneurship, and it was quite ironical because I love being an entrepreneur. I'm running an NGO now. I mean, anthropology probably might be a better space for me, but I found myself getting my interest in forensic science. and I'm considering, going all the way with it. It's been quite inspiring for me. Yeah.
So with all those courses that you've been taking here and there, I think you can almost be a consultant. Maybe, maybe Eunice Errands can introduce a branch of consultancy where you can advise people what they need to study here and there.
Yeah, but also the other thing I believe in, Patrick, is that sometimes education is not to help you go and look for a job. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's also to help you talk to
Build you
people,
up.
interact with people,
Yes.
think outside. And I'm actually grateful for
And
the many
improve,
opportunities that I've
and
gotten.
and improve your own value. Give some more add value to
Exactly.
yourself. Yes. Now
Exactly.
I think this is the right time to talk about Maktaba Mashinani. And what is Maktaba Mashinani? And for our listeners who may know what a Maktaba is, maybe you might want to start from there.
Okay. Maktaba is really for libraries. And of course, Mashinani is it's an obvious term for, yeah, for
Grassroots.
Moshago or Mashinani.
Grassroots.
So yeah, Maktaba just it's plainly everything, but for people who don't understand Swahili, Mashinani is the rural areas. So this is a non-profit organization that does libraries for these needy rural communities. That is community libraries, free to access community libraries. And my story, for me, Maktaba, and I've always said this, Maktaba is a really, really personal project for me. We don't do it for money. We do it to change life the way someone out there, the way we wanted to be changed by someone out there at some point. Because we would, as I said, I would have done better with a me, a person like him, early in my life. So we're trying to get the opportunities out there, and the need is so great. And we appreciate what the government has done. We are so grateful, but there is still a long, long way. We have a long way to go as communities, as a government, as a people. We still have a long way to go before we get to a place where we can say that our schools are fully equipped, our communities have access to the very basic of educational requirements. We have a long way to go. To this day and era, we still have schools sitting on stones. It's not once, it's not twice. We've seen these stories on the papers. We still have, schools flooding, classrooms flooding. We should never have that in this kind of an era. You know, we need to have better priorities. And Maktaba Mashinani comes to help with the help also of the people around our community, that we can go out there and do this community library. But then we understand that we can't set up community libraries in every place that is needed in the same day. You know, some areas have to longer than others. Other areas are more needy than others. So we start with the neediest of the needy, you know. So, and where we can't do community libraries, or we're not in a position to do a community library, we do a school library. And we also do a lot of book donations. These are the very basic of books. And I know sometimes the challenge with even getting the government donated books is the road. So sometimes I think like in one of, I don't want to mention this county, but I know I've interacted with an education officer who told me we have books in the office, but we can't get to the schools in these places because we don't have roads. Hatuna barabara za kutufikisha huko. We have the books in the office, but we can't get there. So if if it's we are still a long way to go. But Maktaba Mashinani, we are trying to get there to help as many children as we can, as many schools as we can, as many communities as we can. And so far, we've been able to establish 165 school libraries and a community library in Transmara. And we are currently working on developing like two more as we speak.
100. You said 165 schools
and 65, yes.
in Transmara.
No, 165 school libraries in 5 different counties
5 different counties.
in Kenya.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and last year was quite a challenging year, for everybody. We couldn't move around. We couldn't hold meetings. We couldn't do much. So we've done this between 2018 and 2019. So we are trusting about that. This year we'll find the resources and the partnerships that we require to even help more. Because now, schools are going back. There's a cry for books everywhere, everywhere. And this is just my personal opinion, and it's not even the opinion of Maktaba Mashinani. But I personally feel the leaders of this country need to put down PR and work. They need to stop doing PR because watoto wanaumia. We have very impoverished communities in this country. You can't go there and tell a parent anunue kitabu ya 200 while mtoto amefukuziwa 30 shillings.
Yeah.
You can't do that. They need to stop him. They need to stop saying, like we have our schools are well equipped, kuna vitabu the government. No, you're not here. They're supposed to let them be honest. There is a need out there, and it's hard. It's hard for the kids out there. And on a normal week, we get at least a request per day from our school. Please tusaidie na vitabu. We do our assessments. We do our own studies about the needs in those schools, and there is a dire need in these communities. So if we all stopped doing PR and face the reality, we would have, we'd have better society. These Ushago places will be doing better.
Yeah.
Mashinani pushes on that. Yes.
When you say Ushago schools, I was chatting with you like a month or so ago, and you told me it's not only in Ushago, even in urban areas like Nairobi, this is where you have the neediest, as you call them, the neediest of the neediest, which is a worst area. Let's say, for example, like in Nairobi, and maybe some of the urban areas, if you can compare them. Of course, you mentioned a place where these officers say that they have the books, but there are no roads. In Nairobi, I believe we have roads, but we still have the problems. Can you talk about Nairobi, for example?
Yeah, in Nairobi, we've worked with a number of schools around Nairobi. And, sometimes you think that this kind of needs are too far away from us. You will correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but we still have schools in Nairobi where kids wanabeba maji na kibuyu to go sprinkle around their classrooms so that the dust can settle. It is in Nairobi, yeah? The dust can settle so that they're able to sweep and live in a clean environment. That is a school in Nairobi. So that is what you can visibly see. You get down to the nitty-gritty, life has been quite hostile for a number of Nairobi residents. People are actually moving back to Ushago because life is cheap.
Yes.
And these are actually government schools. Some of these are actually government schools. So, and you know what? Most of the parents will actually take their parents there because they're really unable to keep their kids in private schools.
Yes.
Private schools, it's crazy having a kid in a private school in Nairobi. You have to be making money somewhere, So these needs are not just in Mashinani. These schools might be accessible. I want to applaud some of the politicians around who are actually looking out for some of these things. I don't want to name names because, they will have their own platform. But I know some leaders who are quite aggressive with some of these things. They go to these schools in Dandora, and they know very well that this shule has been a bit resources. Yes, they are government schools, but if you're doing PR, you know that this shule wanasema ziko na vitabu. But I'm not saying that the government is not doing anything. All I'm saying is that there needs to be more. And it is within, this more is within the capability of what the government can do, you know? And then let's not make up for what is left by saying that we've already done everything. Let's not lie.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me, what
Are
kind?
we able to fulfill? Are we able to fulfill all these needs as Maktaba Mashinani? Definitely no, we are not. So
Okay. Yeah.
even when we go out there, we don't work alone. If we look for the government representatives in that area, the other tukienda shule hatuendi peke yetu. When we go there, they also get to see this was the need in this place. This is the part that has been addressed by Maktaba Mashinani. This is the other part that the government can take care of. And some politicians have actually jumped in and helped some of the things that we have pointed out. But there is a big need out there.
Okay. So exactly what type of books do you give to the pupils? And do you just go to primary schools or you go to secondary schools also? And is it just a textbooks or what kind of books do you help, give the students?
Okay. Now, primarily what we want to do is build a reading culture, because it's easier to find a kid holding a phone than holding a book. You know? So, nothing wrong with holding phones and stuff, but we do want to start a reading culture. And being a young organization, let's start from the root. You know, let's create a hunger for reading from the root. So we started out with primary school and pre-primary school. We started out taking care of institutions that have been underlooked when it comes to education and literacy, like special children. You will find that we don't have facilities for special children like autism. If you put that kid in a kawaida school, wanaumia. So we also target institutions where they only deal with autistic children. And then we can get materials and reading materials for these special needs kids, and with time we hope to, do better with that, because it's a wide gap. It's quite a wide gap.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
so the kind of books that we
do you have where do you collect the books? Where can, if anybody wants to donate books, where would they go? Do you have a shed or an office? People can get in touch with you and bring the books, or do you go around collecting?
It depends on where It depends on where someone is. We do take this donation. It depends with them individuals. What would recommend, because the drop-off points change from time to time. What would recommend is that if you want to donate, you can call us. Then we tell you the drop point that is closest to you. Or if it is possible, you can even, we can even come collect the items ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, so how many donors do you have, individually and organizations? I'm sure you have donors who include mainly organizations or institutions and individuals. Yes, so do you have enough? I know you can never have enough, but tell us about that.
Sisi donors wetu ni akina Patrick Ngugi. The people who look at what we are doing and they come out and say, Eunice, I have a few books here, a few copies of my book that kids have been using in school, we can donate it.
Yes.
So first of all, I want to applaud the local authors. People like yourself, Patrick, Akina, Anita Marima, Marima, and we have a collection of local authors who've done children's books. Now those ones directly go to our library. And then we have local publishers, like Moran publishers. We have partnered with them in various ways to ensure that we have children getting books when they need to get books. That when we have requests from the schools, and the requests are genuine, because we also get very ingenuine requests around us. We have people like Moran publishers who will come on board and say, you know what, these are articles, how can we come on board? Then we also have individuals. They're not authors, they're not publishing houses, they're just individuals who look from afar and they're like, how many books do you need? Like, we have a continuous project called Adopt a Shelf.
Mm.
This Adopt a Shelf has specific number of books in that shelf. So this one helps us fill up our library.
Yes.
So when that happens, we someone comes and says, I will adopt a shelf. So how much is adopting a shelf? So they will donate towards that. We don't have big donors. The big donors we have are the Kenyans and the people of goodwill that support us from project to project.
Mm.
And we have a very small team who, help us work from project to project. But it's a very passionate team. It's a team that comes together to make sure that every project is executed very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And before I release, maybe you could advise somebody in a village somewhere, maybe a small town, maybe Kirinyaga, for example, or some place. They may want to start their own community library. Would they need to come to you, or how would they go about it?
We will need to have meetings. First of all, I think I should put this out there. We don't do commercial libraries. We do not do commercial libraries. If
This
you are
one,
intending to put up a library,
this one wants to do a community library, not commercial, community.
yeah, even those community libraries, the people who charge to get in and out of libraries,
Okay.
we don't do that. Because the whole point of putting up our libraries is to help those who can't even afford that shillings to stay in school.
Mm.
So how do you ask them for 100 bucks to get into a library? You know? So we are making it as easy as possible for kids to come in and out. And some of these libraries act as homework centers. So how do you charge a kid to come and do homework at the library?
All right.
Yeah. So, but yes, we do support. They can talk to us. We explore such partnerships. We'll be happy to work, especially for a community that really needs this kind of facility.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. You have told us your life history, how you started and how you saved yourself through naivety to become what you have become. And I'm sure you are able to advise maybe as a young girl, a young boy, currently who may be going through the same or may not be going through the same about life and where it can lead them. Give you about a minute to tell us that.
What I would tell the young girls or the young people out there, this is something that I also have to keep reminding myself of, is that you never stop. You never stop pursuing what you think you're supposed to achieve. And then there is nothing like too big of a dream to achieve. You can't say that this dream is too big. No. Limited, and feeling sometimes could be environment and circumstances that you were born into or grew into, but never let that limit you. There is always a space for growth. So go after it.
Okay. So thank you very much, Eunice. And we are going to, in the description below, when you upload the video, we are going to have the website from where people can come and see your virtual library and so that they can also learn or know how to adopt a shelf and also how they can give their donations. So I would like to commend you about your work, you and your colleagues. And maybe one of these days I'm going to order for a cake so that my errands can deliver a cake to me.
Please do. You will do that. That's how we make money.
I would have done that. I would have done that 2 days ago before my birthday, but I think now it's too late. Unless, anyway, we'll see about that.
I was hurt that never celebrated that birthday. Oh no. Why do you leave a birthday and celebrate it?
We will celebrate something else, but so
okay, fine. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah. So I guess our viewers will see what kind a person can do. When they are down there, they can become an inspiration to people eventually, and also have a great impact to society. And that's what Eunice has done. And I'm sure we are going to look at Maktaba Mashinani and see what we can do in order to contribute to this work because. So thank you very much, Eunice. Tutakutana mashinani ama mahali pale pengine. So thank you for your time and welcome again. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Karibu sana. Asante.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Thank you for being with us until the end. Bliss Oasis Africa offers the following services: counseling and life coaching, mentorship in creative writing, publishing and consultancy, website development and digital marketing. Please visit us at our website www.blissoasis.co.ke for more information. You can also call or send us a WhatsApp message on 0722 563 544. Thank you.